everyone, my name is Ajit Sandasukwan, number metric is 26505. Today my groupmates and I from Group 6 we discuss about our group assignment, which is regarding Top Glove. Question is regarding the background of the company. Top Glove is actually founded in 1991 by its founder, Tansei Dr. Lim Wee Chai. He started the company with just one production line and a staff consisting of 100 people. Today, Top Glove is regarded as the world's largest manufacturer of gloves, as it holds 26% of the world market share for rubber gloves. Top Glove exports to 2,000 customers in 195 countries and has operations not only in Malaysia but in Vietnam, Thailand, and China. The company has a variety of products consisting of glove segments and also non-glove segments, which consist of resistant bands and also face masks. The company's business direction is to produce high-quality gloves at a low cost, and the company aims to become a global Fortune 500 company by the year 2035. In order to achieve it, the company is required to produce $35 billion in sales revenue, expand to 350 factories with 200,000 workers to achieve its goals. The first is becoming the world's undisputed leading producer of the latex gloves. Top Glove has already achieved this title, but it's crucial for the company to maintain this. They can do this by increasing the cost efficiency, by having an intensive quality control and applying the latest technology in manufacturing to upgrade their quality control digital system. By doing this, they can standardize production, reduce defects, and also save resources. Second is to maintain being the world's leading nitrile glove manufacturer. The company wants to do this by improving the customer service. One of the strategies are by maintaining the required inventory to meet sales and start producing once the certain level has been reached. Customer service can also be improved if the company has a better customer engagement to understand their needs and market patterns. This can motivate the development in their further development of the nitrile glove to increase its standard and quality. The company also wants to become the fastest growing surgical solutions provider. They can do this by expanding their technological capabilities. Top Glove wants to do this by engaging in a more credible recruitment agency and fully utilizing the capabilities to make sure their managers are familiar with the Industry 4.0 workshop. By doing this, company can have a greater productivity, increase production capacity of the surgical gloves, and have a better management of resources. Fourth is to materialize the strategic acquisitions that can contribute to at least 20% in additional revenues. The first short-term objective setting is applying strategic acquisitions. Top Glove wants to do this by recruiting suitable and quality mergers and acquisitions talent. This can help create a diversified business risk and a generation of new sustainable business revenue for the company. To avoid short-termism, the company aims to implement more long-term incentive plans with attainable targets to constantly inspire acquisitions team to aggressively pursue more opportunities in the future. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Syafian Lumit Ghazali, 264460. Today I will talk about or present about question B. Implementation of group risk. Firstly, the implementation group risk to identify, analysis, evaluate, manage, and monitor signification, financial and non-financial risks, and their cyber risks. Okay. Then they provide. Then the group risk also can provide reasonable insurance, even that not it's strong, but the insurance still can against the fraud, mispresentation or loss. The last point is group risk can identify major and complex business. This is internal environment. There's 4 internal environment that we mentioned. First, board, manager, financial statement, budget. The board is obligation to implement the process of the group risk. Firstly, for example, it will set up organizational structure that clear to everyone. The second one is manager. Management is responsibility to implement the group strategy and dealing with everyday business. The manager is also responsibility to update the risk profile in ongoing basics. That means this not update every day or every week. The third one is financial statement. The financial statement, we need to report the risk consideration for the annual report. Then we represent the risk report to RMG before we submit to ARCM for review. Then the fourth one is budget. We use budget to estimate comply annual for each business area. Then we compare estimated with the actual performance. Okay. After that, we will have the risk report to dealing with a risk review. Okay, this is we ask suitable or not suitable. For me, the group management implementation is still suitable for Top Glove because the report of financial statement or their dealing business every day is still adequate and its effectiveness is still certified. Manager also managed to divide and do their respective tasks, or group booking still managed to divide and do their tasks. And in the review on actual annual report, there is still no material internal weakness that result of a material loss or uncertainty or possibility that required disclosure in the annual report. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. I'm Tan Chatin, matrix number 261992. I will present for the question C. So our group has identified the top 10 significant risks. The first risk is the technology risk. As Top Glove is an advanced tech company, Top Glove is highly depends on the technology for daily manufacture and operation purpose. Any data breaches or security hacking or even the cyber vandalism will cause the substantial damage on Top Glove. The second risk is foreign currency risk. Top Glove is a globalized company that could not escape from the fluctuation of the foreign currency exchange rate and commodity price. So especially for the two key raw materials, which are the natural rubber and latex, the fluctuation will cause a short-term impact on the financial performance of Top Glove. The third risk is the production risk. Top Glove factory production line can experience unplanned downtime, which will affect the productivity and resulting in a financial loss. Fire and water shortage is the two major risk factors in that case. Besides, the outbreak of the COVID-19, especially in the factory, will increase the production risk. The factory will need a temporary closure to have intensified disinfection. The fourth risk is the fluctuation in market interest rate will cause the fair value of the company potential cash flow and financial instrument to fluctuate. This is a financial risk and will cause an impact on the financial performance of Top Glove. The fifth risk is the liquidity risk. This normally happens when a bond or fixed asset cannot be converted to cash in time. Top Glove is especially vulnerable to this threat because they trade in so many different countries. The next risk is the credit risk. It will happen on the outstanding financial instrument when the trade receivable is not able to repay. And the next risk is the supply risk. Inadequate raw materials to satisfy the output demand will interrupt the operation, resulting in stock out or reputation damage. The possibility of a rise in the latex price will have an effect on the Top Glove production and profit margin. The eighth risk is the regulatory and compliance risk. As a manufacturer which exports to over 195 countries, Top Glove anticipate more frequent and regular participation in the consumer, social, and authority audits. Top Glove must also make substantial efforts to balance the regulatory compliance with its business processes and operational costs because of the increasing law and regulatory requirements. The second last risk is the manpower risk. The group is experiencing a labor shortage as a result of the government temporary ban on the recruiting foreign employees. As a result of the increased overtime, recruiting temporary contract staff, and downtime costs, the group has incurred additional production costs. Now we come to the last risk, which is the ethical risk. This will increase by the financial losses from the business supply chain, assets stolen, regulatory breaches, and accusation of the bribery and corruption. Top Glove was recently accused of the worker exploitation in the recent incident. This is a significant charge level against a publicly traded corporation since they are required to adhere to the corporate social responsibility system. We identify and analyze the top 10 significant risks according to their impact and likelihood. From the table, we can observe that technology risk, foreign currency risk, and production risk has the highest index. The interest rate risk, liquidity risk, credit risk, and supply risk, and regulatory and compliance risk has the second highest index. The manpower risk index is 4, and the least is the ethical risk. After that, we place all the risks into the risk matrix analysis based on the index of the impact and likelihood. The red color area is the risk that require the most attention to manage and take control. and the main priority should be given to the red area as compared to the risks in other areas. While for the yellow area are the risks that require moderate concern. Our group has identified some risks in the green area, but we didn't list out since it is not significant, such as product substitute risk and operational breakdown risk. In order to identify all the risks, the first step we take is to understand about the company. We search for the official page of Top Glove to understand their company objective, mission, and vision. Besides, we also download the latest annual report of Top Glove to understand about the financial performance. We get to understand about the risk management board and risk framework of Top Glove. We also take additional research on the related articles and information. We will begin to discuss the risks once we have a better understanding of the business. We use the brainstorm technique to produce many ideas about the issues addressed, the potential cause of the problem, and action to be taken. Top Glove is deemed to have a rigid and rigorous risk management since May 2013. After that, Top Glove takes steps to control the significant danger. It will only have a little effect of the company objective, goal, vision, and mission. Top Glove takes steps such as preventive management, detective control, and damage control to ensure that all the risks are under control. If not action is taken, there is a substantial risk, which is the technology risk will influence the Top Glove goal, purpose, and vision. Top Glove innovations are not keeping up with the new technology, which may be a drawback for them. Because their rival has implemented the latest technology into their production line, they will have an impact of the Top Glove vision of being the world-leading manufacturer of the high-quality glove product. Top Glove need to be sensitive in their use of technology to be a pioneer in the industry. To summarize, the majority of the significant risks that Top Glove face would have a little bearing on their company results because of their company has effectively managed them. Top Glove has a risk management board to oversee the risk management of the group. Based on the statement of the Risk Management and Internal Control 2020 of Top Glove, the Risk Management Committee, which is RMC, consists of 4 NED and 2 executive directors. Risk Working Company will discuss as a meeting from an organizational standpoint regarding to the mitigation steps. The accuracy and efficiency of the steps will be evaluated and be improved if necessary. The Risk Working Company, RWC, will recommend the improvement to RMC for strategic consideration. Preventive measures will be fine-tuned to ensure that all the action plans are on track. This is the Risk Management Committee as reported by the Statement of Risk Management and Internal Control 2020 of Top Glove. Now we move to the risk appetite of Top Glove. The risk appetite of Top Glove on insignificant risk is less than 10% of the annual profit, but from the significant risk, the risk appetite is more than 10% of the annual profit. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello guys, my name is Adam Aiman bin Muhammad Razlan. My metric number is 261096. So without further ado, let's move on. So after the 10 risks have been identified, here we suggest the appropriate risk response based on the fundamental of ICO 3100 clause 6.5 selection of risk treatment. So the risk treatment can be more than one, as risk treatment options are not necessarily mutually exclusive. So first is technology risk on the cyber vandalism or sabotage. Top Glove need to change likelihood by enforcing password rules and as mandatory before giving permission to access any data or system. Next, on the disrupted facility cause data destroyed from security breach, Top Glove need to retain and manage by backup every data and documentation in cloud computing or different external hard drive. And second, on the foreign currency risk, Top Glove need to change livelihood on the fluctuate commodity price that will affect on the cost of raw material by using hedging strategy and options by entering into forward or future contract to minimize the risk of increasing cost price of commodity. Next, on the fluctuate selling price of product or revenue due to currency translation, Top Glove need to change livelihood by using hedging strategy on currency to minimize the impact of currency by entering into long and short position on the same currency. Third, on the production risk, as we know, COVID-19 has been circulating in the factory of Top Glove. So Top Glove need to retain and manage by ensuring staff following the proper measure and adhere to the standard operating procedure and practice social distancing. And Top Glove need to sanitize factory more often to reduce the possibility of happening. On the fire outbreak on factory, Top Glove need to remove the the source of the risk by prohibiting any item that can cause fire or break in factory. On the fourth, interest rate risk, as we know, overnight policy rate has been decreased due to recession. So Top Glove need to increase the risk by entering into more borrowing. So for the purpose of expansion as the cost of borrowing has been lower. So 5, on the liquidity risk, Top Glove need to change livelihood by selling unproductive asset or raising shareholder fund. 6, on the credit risk, on the possible loss from client unable to repay the payable, Top Glove need to change livelihood by extending credit only to those who have good credit score and further monitor and screening. 7, on the supply risk, on the risk of supply shortage, Top Glove need to change livelihood by implementing sound risk management and high quality preventive program. 8, on the regulatory compliance, on the risk failing to comply with laws and regulation, Top Glove need to avoid by conduct in depth on due diligence before committing any project or hire an in-house consultant regulators. On the manpower risk, on the risk of employment related to lawsuit, Top Glove need to avoid by ensuring no employee are coerced and forced to work overtime, particularly on the labour factory. 10, ethical risk, the Top Glove have been allegedly exploiting worker and practice forced labour. So Top Glove need to avoid by hiring consultant or known as Impact Limited to resolve forced labour indicators as stated by the ILO. Thank you, that's all from me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liu Zhenyue, matrix number 26963. Now I will continue with question E, which is the ways to improve its effectiveness of its risk management practice. There are 5 ways to improve the effectiveness of its risk management practice in Top Glove. The first is implementing enterprise risk management (ERM). The second way is having effective communications. The third way is creating a risk-aware culture. The fourth way is having role synergy with internal audits. And the fifth way is having consistent risk management practice review. Now I'll talk about the first way, which is implementing enterprise risk management (ERM). The Board Risk Management Committee of Top Glove should set the objective of current risk management practice to ensure that the current objective is able to reduce the negative risk and to increase the positive risk. After that, they should also identify the significant risks which may have significant impact on decision making. And then they need to assess the risk, respond to the risk, and also monitor the risk to ensure the effectiveness of the risk management practice. After that, they need to have effective communications. Top Glove should have top to bottom communications where the upper management need to downskill the policy needed to be implemented by the bottom management. Cross-departmental communication are also needed to be done because some department may have better understandings on how to reduce the risk compared to the other department. Bottom to top communication should also be done when the bottom management are the one who approach the risk first. Effective written communication and verbal communication are needed to be done according to the needs of the situation. The third way is creating a risk-aware culture. The Board Risk Management Committee of Top Glove should emphasize the risk management responsibilities. They should process the information of risk management practice. The risk manager should also implement the risk management policies. They will need to be implemented by the bottom management. They also need to coordinate the risk management activities. Top Glove should also provide training and educations to different levels of stakeholders in Top Glove. The fourth is having role synergy with internal audit. Internal audit need to have full understanding of risk management process because internal audit are the one who provide the assurance towards the risk. Internal audit also need to coach management in responding to risk. They also need to maintain and develop ERM framework that will be utilized by the management. The fifth way is having consistent risk management practice review. Risk management practice should be reviewed with key performance index (KPI). Variance measurement can also be done by comparing the planned goal and the actual results. Risk management practice should be reviewed quarterly to see if there is any modification needed to be done on the risk management practice to ensure its effectiveness. That's all from my group. Thank you.